Okay, today is the 2nd of September and we are starting on the 51st Samyutta of the Samyutta Nikaya, 51st chapter. That is the Iddhipada Samyutta. Iddhipada, from the word Iddhi and Pada. Iddhi means psychic power, the Iddhis, psychic powers. And Pada is the path. It's like the Dhammavuddho. Normally they translate it as basis for psychic powers. It is spiritual powers, but it means the same thing. And there are 4 bases for psychic power. It is called the first one is Chanda, Samadhi, Padana, Sankhara, Samanagatang. The second one is Viriya, Samadhi, Padana, Sankhara, Samanagatang. Third one is Chitta, and the fourth one is Vimamsa. Chanda is desire to do something. And Viriya is energy, Chitta is mind, Vimamsa is investigation. They have translated the 4 bases as the basis for spiritual power that possesses concentration due to desire and volitional formations of striving. But I prefer to say the basis for psychic power of concentration due to desire, accompanied by effort and volition. Each of these bases, it is concentration due to desire, or concentration due to energy, or concentration due to the mind, or concentration due to investigation. Maybe you can also say concentration of desire, concentration of energy, concentration of mind, and concentration of investigation, accompanied by effort and volition. Volition can also mean willpower. Okay, the first sutta I'll read is 51.2. The Buddha said, monks, those who have neglected the 4 bases for psychic power of concentration due to the 4 bases for psychic power have neglected the noble path leading to the complete destruction of suffering. Those who have undertaken the 4 bases for psychic power have undertaken the noble path leading to the complete destruction of suffering. Stop here for a moment. Why is that the psychic power has to do with the destruction of suffering? There are 6 what are known as higher knowledges, abhinya. And these 6 higher knowledges are the fruits of cultivating the holy life. The higher knowledges, the higher fruits. And out of these 6, 5 of them have to do with psychic power. The first one is, I think the English word is psychokinesis, various types of psychic power like flying in the air, going to the wall, diving into the water, diving into the earth, like diving into water, walking on the surface of the water, one body multiplying into many bodies, etc. So that's the first one. The second one is like a heavenly eye, or divine eye. You can see devas and devis and ghosts, etc. And then another one is a divine ear, or heavenly ear, where you can hear the sounds of spiritual beings. And then another one is being able to remember your past lives. Another one is being able to read other people's minds. These are the 5, plus another one now, which is not considered psychic power, but which is the most important, is the destruction of the Asavas. When you destroy the Asavas, you will become liberated, become an Arahant. So that is why if you can attain psychic power, You are very near to enlightenment already. All you need is to listen to the right sutta and you will become enlightened. So that's why here it says that those who have undertaken the 4 bases for psychic powers have undertaken the noble path leading to the complete destruction of suffering. What for? Dear monks, a monk develops the basis for psychic power of concentration due to desire accompanied by effort and volition. He develops the basis for psychic power of concentration due to energy, and then the basis for psychic power of concentration due to mind, and similarly the basis for psychic power of concentration due to investigation accompanied by effort and volition. Monks, those who have neglected the 4 bases for psychic power have neglected the noble path leading to the complete destruction of suffering. If you look at this 4 bases, this is always concentration. Concentration either due to desire, that means the desire to attain psychic power, or concentration due to the energy, putting forth energy to attain psychic power, or concentration due to the mind. You can say determination, having strong determination, using the mind fully, concentrated mind to attain this psychic power. And the last one is concentration due to investigation. Even you want to attain higher concentration, also you have to investigate, which is what are the conditions that will lead you to concentration. And it is accompanied, each one of these are accompanied by effort. You need effort and volition. Volition you can consider as willpower. So you put forth effort and strong willpower, and then you concentrate your mind on the basis of desire, energy, determination and investigation. And then you can get what you want. Next sutta is 51.5. Monks, whatever ascetics or Brahmins in the past generated psychic power in part, all did so because they had developed and cultivated the 4 bases for psychic powers. Whatever ascetics or Brahmins in the future will generate psychic powers in part, all will do so because they have developed and cultivated the 4 bases for psychic powers. But for, dear monks, a monk develops the basis for psychic power of concentration due to desire accompanied by effort and volition. He develops the basis for psychic power of concentration due to energy, of concentration due to mind, of concentration due to investigation, accompanied by effort and volition. Monks, whatever ascetics or Brahmins in the past, in the future, or at present generate psychic power in part, all do so because they have developed and cultivated these 4 bases for psychic power. And then the next sutta is quite similar, except that instead of generate psychic power in partner, the sutta 6 is whatever ascetics or Brahmins in the past, in the future, or at present generate psychic power completely. All did so because they had developed and cultivated the 4 bases for psychic powers. So I won't read it because it's very similar. The next sutta is 51.10. On one occasion, the Blessed One was dwelling at Vesali in the great wood in the hall with the peaked roof. Then in the morning, the Blessed One dressed and taking bowl and robe, entered Vesali for alms. When he had walked for alms in Vesali and had returned from the alms round, after his meal, he addressed the Venerable Ananda thus: Take a sitting cloth, Ananda. Let us go to the Chapala shrine for the day's abiding. Yes, Venerable Sir, the Venerable Ananda replied. And having taken a sitting cloth, he followed closely behind the Blessed One. The Blessed One then went to the Chapala shrine and sat down on a seat that was prepared. The Venerable Ananda, having paid homage to the Blessed One, also sat down to one side. The Blessed One then said to the Venerable Ananda, "Delightful is Vesali Ananda. Delightful is the Udena shrine. Delightful is the Gotamaka shrine. Delightful the Satamba shrine. Delightful the Bahuputta shrine. Delightful the Sarandada shrine. Delightful the Chapala shrine." Stop here for a moment. So around Vesali, you have so many shrines. These shrines must be for praying to the spirits, the devas. It's an Indian or Hindu tradition to be friendly to the devas around so that they will not give us problem. In fact, they protect us. Whoever Ananda has developed and cultivated the four bases for psychic powers, made them a vehicle, made them a basis, stabilized them, exercised himself in them, and fully perfected them, could, if he so wished, live on for the aeon, or for the remainder of the aeon. The Tathagata Ananda has developed and cultivated the four bases for psychic powers, made them a vehicle, made them a basis, stabilized them, exercised himself in them, and fully perfected them. If he so wished, the Tathagata could live on for the aeon, or for the remainder of the aeon. But although the Venerable Ananda was given such an obvious signal by the Blessed One, though he was given such an obvious hint, he was unable to penetrate it. He did not implore the Blessed One, "Venerable Sir, let the Blessed One live on for the aeon. Let the Fortunate One live on for the aeon, for the welfare of the multitude, for the happiness of the multitude, out of compassion for the world, for the good welfare and happiness of devas and humans." To such an extent was his mind obsessed by Mara. Let's stop here for a moment. So here the Buddha is hinting that if he wanted to, he could live on for an aeon. Aeon here is kappa, world cycle. This is an extremely long time. So the commentaries found it difficult to accept it. So the commentary said he must be talking about the ayu kappa, the life cycle, meaning like during the Buddha's time, the lifespan, the full lifespan was supposed to be about 100 years. So at that time the Buddha probably was about 80 years. So the commentary says what he means is if he wanted to, he could live on for another 20 years. But then and there's no indication of this, like could be true, it might not be true. The second time and the third time the Blessed One addressed the Venerable Ananda. Delightful is Vesali Ananda, delightful the various shrines. Whoever Ananda has developed and cultivated the four bases for psychic power, could, if he so wished, live on for the aeon or for the remainder of the aeon. If he so wished, the Tathagata could live on for the aeon or for the remainder of the aeon. But again, though the Venerable Ananda was given such an obvious signal by the Blessed One, though he was given such an obvious hint, he was unable to penetrate it. To such an extent was his mind obsessed by Mara. Stop here again. So here the sutta says his mind was obsessed by Mara, meaning probably Mara the Deva, because the Mara the Deva did not want the Buddha to stay so long in the world and help other living beings get out of the world. He wants the world to have a lot of beings. Then the Blessed One addressed the Venerable Ananda. "You may go, Ananda, at your own convenience." "Yes, Venerable Sir," the Venerable Ananda replied. And he rose from his seat, paid homage to the Blessed One, and keeping his right side towards him, sat down nearby at the foot of a tree. Then not long after the Venerable Ananda had left, Mara the Evil One approached the Blessed One and said to him, "Venerable Sir, let the Blessed One now attain final Nibbana. let the fortunate one now attain final Nibbana. Now is the time for the Blessed One's final Nibbana. This statement was made, Venerable Sir, by the Blessed One. I will not attain final Nibbana, evil one, until I have bhikkhu disciples who are wise, disciplined, confident, secure from bondage, learned, upholders of the Dhamma, practicing in accordance with the Dhamma, practicing in the proper way, conducting themselves accordingly, who have learned their own teacher's doctrine and can explain it, teach it, proclaim it, establish it, disclose it, analyze it, and elucidate it, who can refute thoroughly with reasons the prevalent tenets of others and can teach the efficacious Dhamma. But at present, Venerable Sir, the Blessed One has bhikkhu or monk disciples who are wise, disciplined, confident, secure from bondage, learned, upholders of the Dhamma, etc., and who can teach the efficacious Dhamma. Venerable Sir, let the Blessed One now attain final Nibbana. Let the fortunate one now attain final Nibbana. Now is the time for the Blessed One's final Nibbana. And this statement was made, Venerable Sir, by the Blessed One. I will not attain final Nibbana, evil one, until I have bhikkhuni or nun disciples, and then again, until I have male lay disciples, until I have female lay disciples who are wise, disciplined, confident, secure from bondage, learned, upholders of the Dhamma, practicing in accordance with the Dhamma, practicing in the proper way, conducting themselves accordingly, who have learned their own teacher's doctrine and can explain it, teach it, proclaim it, establish it, disclose it, analyze it, and elucidate it, who can refute thoroughly with reasons the prevalent tenets of others, and can teach the efficacious Dhamma. But at present, Venerable Sir, the Blessed One has female lay disciples who are wise, disciplined, secure from bondage, etc., practicing in the proper way, and can refute with reasons the prevalent tenets of others and teach the efficacious Dhamma. Venerable Sir, let the Blessed One now attain final Nibbana. Let the fortunate one now attain final Nibbana. Now is the time for the Blessed One's final Nibbana. And this statement was made, Venerable Sir, by the Blessed One. I will not attain final Nibbana, evil one, until this holy life of mine has become successful and prosperous, extensive, popular, widespread, well proclaimed among devas and humans. That holy life of the Blessed One, Venerable Sir, has become successful and prosperous, extensive, popular, widespread, well proclaimed among devas and humans. Venerable Sir, let the Blessed One now attain final Nibbana. Let the fortunate one now attain final Nibbana. Now is the time for the Blessed One's final Nibbana. Stop here for a moment. So you can see from here, Mara has been asking the Buddha to enter Nibbana many times. And at one time the Buddha said he will not enter Nibbana until the monk disciples are many who can teach the Dhamma and refute the teachings of other sects, etc. And another time when the Mara asked the Buddha to enter Nibbana, the Buddha said he won't enter Nibbana until the non-disciples are many and they have learned the Dhamma so that they can spread the Dhamma. Another time the Buddha said, now wait until my male lay disciples are many and they understand the Dhamma, I can teach the Dhamma, etc. Another time the Buddha said, wait until my female lay disciples are many and they can teach the Dhamma and refute the teachings of others, etc. And another time the Buddha said, I will not enter Nibbana until the holy life, that means the Buddhist religion, has become successful and prosperous, widespread, well proclaimed among devas and humans. Now the Mara said, all these conditions have been fulfilled, so will you please enter Nibbana? I asked the Buddha. And this was said, the Blessed One said to Mara, the evil one, be at ease, evil one. It will not be long before the Tathagata's final Nibbana takes place. 3 months from now, the Tathagata will enter final Nibbana. Then the Blessed One at the Chapala shrine, mindfully and with clear comprehension, relinquished his vital formation. This word vital formation, the Pali word is Ayu Sankara. Ayu is life, Sankara is conditioner. So it is the life conditioner that which conditions life. He let go. I guess it must be the will to live, because the will to live conditions life. If somebody holds on to the will to live, he will not die until the body gives him so much pain until he cannot stand. Then only you let go of the will to live and die. So here the Buddha finally let go of the life conditioner. And when the Blessed One had relinquished his life conditioner, a great earthquake occurred, frightening and terrifying, and peals of thunder shook the sky. Then, having understood the meaning of this, the Blessed One on that occasion uttered this inspired utterance, comparing the incomparable and continued existence. The sage relinquished the life conditioner. Rejoicing within, concentrated, he broke continued self-existence like a coat of armor. That's the end of the sutta. Even though the Buddha hinted to Ananda several times that he could prolong his life, Ananda could not take the hint and did not request the Buddha to stay on. So when Mara came again to ask the Buddha to enter Nibbana, then the Buddha thought he has finished his work and his body is giving him a lot of pain. At the age of 80, the body constantly gave him a lot of pain, so that sometimes he had to enter this cessation of perception and feeling. Then only he did not have the pain. Then he decided to enter Nibbana. So you see, even for the Buddha to enter Nibbana, to pass away, he has to let go of that life conditioner, the will to live. That is why I feel in the dependent origination, avijja paccaya sankara, sankara paccaya vinnyanang, that sankara is probably volition, the will to live. Because in the five aggregates, sankara is also volition. The dependent origination is probably the same. So because of ignorance, people have the will to live. And because of the strong will to live, every moment our consciousness arises and ceases. After it ceases, because of the will to live, it shoots up again, arises again, and then ceases. And then because of the will to live again, it arises. So the Buddha let go of the will to live, and then a great earthquake occurred. Later, after the Buddha had passed into Parinibbana, this was one of the things, the 500 Arahants, including the Venerable Ananda, when they held the first Sangha council. That was the time when the 499 Arahants criticized Ananda. Said, why Buddha gave you a broad hint, you never asked him to stay back. Okay, the next sutta is 51.11, Asavati. The Buddha said, monks, before my enlightenment, while I was still a bodhisattva, not yet fully enlightened, it occurred to me, what now is the cause and condition for the development of the basis for psychic power? It occurred to me, here a monk develops the basis for psychic power of concentration due to desire, accompanied by effort and volition. Thinking, thus my desire will be neither too slack nor too tense, and it will be neither constricted internally nor distracted externally. And he dwells perceiving after and before, as before, so after, as after, so before, as below, so above, as above, so below, as by day, so at night, as at night, so by day. Thus with the mind that is open and enveloped, he develops the mind imbued with luminosity. Stop here for a moment. Here, all these terms, we will come across it later on page 1737. 10 pages from here. Go through it quickly. The desire will be neither too slack nor too tense. That means if it's too slack, that means it's too no effort. If it's too tense, it's too much effort, so it becomes restless. And constricted internally means you have sloth and torpor. And distracted externally means the attention goes out to the five cords of sensual pleasure, to sight, sound, smell, taste and touch. Perceiving after and before, that means the perception of after and before is well grasped by the monk, well attended to, well considered, well penetrated by wisdom. So probably it means as before, so after is consistent all the time. Before his meditation and after his meditation is the same. And by day as by night, at night so as above and below. On page 1737 it says, monk reviews this very body upwards from the soles of the feet, downwards from the tips of the hair. It is in this way that a monk dwells as below, so above, as above, so below. Then as at night as by day, probably that means he makes the same effort at night as by day. He develops the basis for psychic power of concentration due to energy, accompanied by effort and volition. And similarly, he thinks, thus my energy will be neither too slack nor too tense, etc. Similarly, he develops the basis for psychic power of concentration due to mind, accompanied by effort and volition. And similarly, he cultivates the basis for psychic power of concentration due to investigation, accompanied by effort and volition. And the four bases of psychic power have been developed and cultivated in this way. A monk wields the various kinds of psychic powers. This one is, the Pali word is Iddhipada. I mentioned just now, Psychokinesis. Having been one, he becomes many. He multiplies his body. Having been many, he becomes one. He appears and vanishes. He goes unhindered through a wall, through a rampart, through a mountain as though through space. He dives in and out of the earth as though it were water. He walks on water without sinking as though it were earth. Seated cross-legged, he travels in space like a bird. With his hand he touches and strokes the moon and sun, so powerful and mighty. He exercises mastery with the body as far as the Brahma world. This last part means that with the body he can fly, the flesh body. He can fly with the flesh body up to the Brahma heavens, but not further than that. The other heavens are too far. And the four bases for psychic powers have been developed and cultivated in this way. A monk with the divine ear or heavenly ear, which is purified and surpasses the human, hears both kinds of sounds, the divine and human, those that are far as well as near. When the four bases for psychic powers have been developed and cultivated in this way, a monk understands the minds of other beings and persons, having encompassed them with his own mind. He understands a mind with lust as a mind with lust, a mind without lust as a mind without lust, a mind with hatred as a mind with hatred, a mind without hatred as a mind without hatred, etc. An exalted mind as an exalted mind, a surpassable mind as surpassable, a concentrated mind as concentrated, liberated mind as liberated. So here he can read the minds of other beings. And the four bases for psychic powers have been developed and cultivated in this way. A monk recollects his manifold past abodes, that is, 1 birth, 2 births, 3, 4, 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100,000 births, many aeons of world contraction, many aeons of world expansion, many aeons of world contraction and expansion thus. There I was so named, of such a clan, with such an appearance. Such was my food, such my experience of pleasure and pain, such was my lifespan. Passing away from there, I was reborn elsewhere, and there too I was so named, of such a clan, with such an appearance. Such was my food, such my experience, etc. Thus he recollects his manifold past abodes with their modes and details. So this one is able to recollect his many past lives. When the four bases for psychic powers have been developed and cultivated in this way, a monk with the divine eye, which is purified and surpasses the human, sees beings passing away and being reborn, inferior and superior, beautiful and ugly, fortunate and unfortunate, and he understands how beings fare on in accordance with their karma thus. Those beings who engage in misconduct of body, speech and mind, who reviled the noble ones, held wrong view, and undertook actions based on wrong view, with the breakup of the body after death, have been born in a state of misery, in a bad destination, in the nether world, in hell. But those beings who engage in good conduct of body, speech and mind, who did not revile the noble ones, Aryans, who held right view, and undertook action based on right view, with the breakup of the body after death, have been reborn in a good destination in the heavenly world. Thus with the divine eye, which is purified and surpasses the human, he sees beings passing away and being reborn, inferior and superior, beautiful and ugly, fortunate and unfortunate, and he understands how beings fare on in accordance with their karma. And the four bases for psychic powers have been developed and cultivated in this way. A monk, by the destruction of the Asavas in this very life, enters and dwells in the taintless liberation by mind, liberation by wisdom, realizing it for himself with direct knowledge. This sutta says, if you cultivate the basis, the four bases for psychic powers, then you can attain the 5 types of psychic powers, plus the destruction of the Asavas, which means liberation, attainment of Arahanthood. The next sutta is 51.13. Monks, if a monk gains concentration, gains one-pointedness of mind based upon desire, this is called concentration due to desire. He generates desire for the non-arising of unarisen, evil, unwholesome states. He makes an effort, arouses energy, applies his mind and strives. He generates desire for the abandoning of arisen, evil, unwholesome states. He generates desire for the arising of unarisen, wholesome states. He generates desire for the maintenance of arisen, wholesome states, for the non-decay, increase, expansion, and fulfillment by development. He makes an effort, arouses energy, applies his mind and strives. These are called effort and volition. Thus, this concentration due to desire, accompanied by effort and volition, this is called the basis for psychic power of concentration due to desire, accompanied by effort and volition. Similarly, a monk gains concentration, gains one-pointedness of mind based upon energy, and this is called concentration due to energy. And similarly, for concentration due to mind and concentration due to investigation, these are the 4 bases of psychic powers. The next sutta is 51.14. On one occasion, the Blessed One was dwelling at Savatthi in the eastern park, in the mansion of Nigara's mother. Now on that occasion, a number of monks who dwelt on the ground floor of the mansion were restless, puffed up, personally vain, rough-tongued, rambling in their talk, muddle-minded, without clear awareness, unconcentrated, scatterbrained, loose in their faculties. I'll stop here for a moment. Sometimes this type of description of monks, the Buddha says, these are fake monks who don't practice the spiritual path. Then the Blessed One addressed the Venerable Moggallana thus: Moggallana, your brothers in the holy life, dwelling on the ground floor of the mansion of Nigara's mother, are restless, puffed up, personally vain, rough-tongued, rambling in their talk, muddle-minded, without clear comprehension or awareness, unconcentrated, scatterbrained, loose in their faculties. Go, Moggallana, stir up a sense of urgency in those monks. Yes, Venerable Sir, the Venerable Moggallana replied, that he performed a feat of psychic power such that he made the mention of Megara's mother shake, quake and tremble with his toe. Then those monks, shocked and terrified, stood to one side and said, "It is wonderful indeed, sir. It is amazing indeed, sir. There is no wind, and this mention of Megara's mother has a deep base, that means a deep foundation, and is securely planted, immobile, unshaking, yet it shook, quaked and trembled." Stop here for a moment. So this Venerable Moggallana, just by using his toe, he just pressed on the floor, and the whole of the mansion shook. I don't know how many kutis, how many rooms this mansion has. Then the Blessed One approached those monks and said to them, "Why, monks, are you standing to one side, shocked and terrified?" And they said, "It is wonderful, Venerable Sir. It is amazing, Venerable Sir. There is no wind, and this mention of Megara's mother has a deep base and is securely planted, immobile, unshaking. Yet it shook, it quaked, and it trembled." And the Buddha said, "Monks, the monk Moggallana, desiring to stir up a sense of urgency in you, made the mention of Megara's mother shake, quake, and tremble with his toe. What do you think, monks? By having developed and cultivated what things has the monk Moggallana become so powerful and mighty?" And they said, "Venerable Sir, our teachings are rooted in the Blessed One, guided by the Blessed One, take recourse in the Blessed One. It would be good if the Blessed One would clear up the meaning of this statement. Having heard it from him, the monks will remember it. Then listen, monks. It is because he has developed and cultivated the 4 bases for psychic powers that the monk Moggallana has become so powerful and mighty. What for? Dear monks, the monk Moggallana has developed the basis for psychic power of concentration due to desire, accompanied by effort and volition. He has developed the basis for psychic power of concentration due to energy, concentration due to mind, concentration due to investigation, accompanied by effort and volition. Thinking, thus my investigation will be neither too slack nor too tense, will be neither constricted internally nor distracted externally, etc. Thus with the mind that is open and unenveloped, he has developed the mind imbued with luminosity. Stop here for a moment. So because of his cultivating concentration, strong concentration, the mind becomes luminous, becomes bright. And the Buddha says in the suttas, the mind becomes bright after a person has attained the 4th jhana or higher state. It is, monks, because he has developed and cultivated these 4 bases for psychic powers that the monk Moggallana has become so powerful and mighty. It is, monks, because the monk Moggallana has developed and cultivated these 4 bases for psychic power that he wields the various kinds of psychic powers. And then the Buddha mentions all the psychic powers that we went through earlier. It is because the monk Moggallana has developed and cultivated these 4 bases for psychic power that by the destruction of the Asavas, in this very life, he enters and dwells in the taintless liberation by mind, liberation by wisdom, realizing it for himself with direct knowledge. It's the end of the sutta. So sometimes the Buddha wants to stir those lazy monks. He gets somebody with psychic power like the Venerable Moggallana to do a feat like this. And then they get frightened, and at the same time they realize his psychic power is so great. They also want to attain those psychic powers. So then they will start to learn. The next sutta is 51.15. On one occasion, the Venerable Ananda was dwelling at Kosambi in Gosita's park. Then the Brahmin Unaba approached the Venerable Ananda and exchanged greetings with him. When they had concluded the greetings and cordial talk, he sat down to one side and said to the Venerable Ananda, "For what purpose, Master Ananda, is the holy life lived under the ascetic Gotama?" "It is for the sake of abandoning desire, Brahmin, that the holy life is lived under the Blessed One." But Master Ananda, is there a path, is there a way for the abandoning of this desire? There is a path, Brahmin, there is a way for the abandoning of this desire. But Master Ananda, what is that path? What is the way for the abandoning of this desire? Here, Brahmin, a monk develops the basis for psychic power of concentration due to desire, accompanied by effort and volition. He develops the basis for psychic power of concentration due to energy, of concentration due to mind, of concentration due to investigation. This, Brahmin, is the path, this is the way for the abandoning of this desire. And the Brahmin said, such being the case, Master Ananda, the situation is interminable. Interminable, not terminable. It is impossible that one can abandon desire by means of desire itself. Let's stop here for a moment. So here this Brahmin is saying, you want to abandon desire, you develop the basis for psychic power of concentration due to desire. So you are using desire to abandon desire. So he said, this cannot be. This situation is without an end. It is not with an end. That means you use desire to abandon desire, then you still have desire. So you still have a desire, how to abandon desire? Then Ananda said, well then Brahmin, I will question you about this matter. Answer as you see fit. What do you think, Brahmin? Did you earlier have the desire, I will go to the park, and after you went to the park, did the corresponding desire subside? Yes, sir, I said. Did you earlier arouse energy, thinking, I will go to the park, and after you went to the park, did the corresponding energy subside? Yes, sir. Did you earlier make up your mind, I will go to the park, and after you went to the park, did the corresponding resolution or determination in the mind subside? He said, yes, sir. Did you earlier make an investigation, shall I go to the park? And after you went to the park, did the corresponding investigation subside? Yes, sir. It is exactly the same, Brahmin, with a monk who is an Arahant, one whose Asavas are destroyed, who has lived the holy life, done what had to be done, laid down the burden, reached his own goal, utterly destroyed the fetters of existence, and is completely liberated through final knowledge. He earlier had the desire for the attainment of Arahantship, and when he attained Arahantship, the corresponding desire subsided. He earlier had aroused energy for the attainment of Arahantship, and when he attained Arahantship, the corresponding energy subsided. He earlier had made up his mind to attain Arahantship, and when he attained Arahantship, the corresponding resolution or determination subsided. He earlier made an investigation for the attainment of Arahantship, and when he had attained Arahantship, the corresponding investigation subsided. What do you think, Brahmin? Such being the case, is the situation terminable or interminable? And he said, surely, Master Gotama, such being the case, the situation is terminable, not interminable. Magnificent Master Ananda, magnificent Master Ananda. So he took refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. And he said, from today let Master Ananda remember me as a lay follower who has gone for refuge for life. So you see, this member Ananda is a very wise monk to explain it so well. 51.19 Monks, I will teach you spiritual power or psychic power, the basis for psychic power, the development of the basis for psychic power, and the way leading to the development for the basis for psychic power. And what monks is psychic power? Here monks, a monk wields the various kinds of psychic powers. Having been one, he becomes many. He exercises mastery with the body as far as the Brahma world. This is called psychic power. And what monks is the basis for psychic power? It is the path and practice that leads to gaining psychic power, to obtaining psychic power. This is called the basis for psychic power. And what monks is the development of the basis for psychic power. Here monks, a monk develops the basis for psychic power of concentration due to desire, accompanied by effort and volition. Similarly, he develops the basis for psychic power of concentration due to energy, concentration due to mind, concentration due to investigation, accompanied by effort and volition. This is called the development of the basis for psychic power. And what, monks, is the way leading to the development of the basis for psychic power? It is this noble eightfold path, that is, right view, right thoughts, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right recollection, and right concentration. This is called the way leading to the development of the basis for psychic power. That's the end of the sutta. So you notice here that the way leading to the development of the basis for psychic power is the Noble Eightfold Path. The Noble Eightfold Path is all-encompassing. Actually, if you cultivate the Noble Eightfold Path, you would have cultivated all the other sets in the, what they call the 37 Bodhipakya Dhammas. Namely the 4 right efforts, the 4 Satipatthana, the 4, what's the other 4? This one, 4 bases for psychic power, then the 5 Indriya, the 5 Bala, the 7 Bojjhanga. All that would be perfected when you perfect the Noble Eightfold Path. So the most important is the Noble Eightfold Path. Okay, now we come to 51.20. Monks, these 4 bases for psychic power, when developed and cultivated, are of great fruit and benefit. And how, monks, are the 4 bases for psychic power developed and cultivated so that they are of great fruit and benefit? Here, monks, a monk develops the basis for psychic power of concentration due to desire, accompanied by effort and volition, thinking, thus my desire will be neither too slack nor too tense, and it will be neither constricted internally nor distracted externally. And he dwells perceiving after and before, as before so after, as after so before, as below so above, as above so below, as by day so at night, as at night so by day. Thus with the mind that is open and unenveloped, he develops the mind imbued with luminosity. He develops the basis for psychic power that possesses concentration due to energy, concentration due to mind, concentration due to investigation. And he develops the mind imbued with luminosity. And what, monks, is desire that is too slack? It is desire that is accompanied by lassitude, associated with lassitude. This is called desire that is too slack. And what, monks, is desire that is too tense? It is desire that is accompanied by restlessness, associated with restlessness. This is called desire that is too tense. And what, monks, is desire that is constricted internally? It is desire that is accompanied by sloth and torpor, associated with sloth and torpor. This is called desire that is constricted internally. And what, monks, is desire that is distracted externally? It is desire that is repeatedly distracted externally, repeatedly disturbed on account of the 5 causes of sensual pleasure. This is called desire that is distracted externally. And how, monks, does a monk dwell perceiving after and before, as before so after, as after so before? Here, monks, the perception of after and before is well grasped by a monk, well attended to, well considered, well penetrated by wisdom. It is in this way, monks, that a monk dwells perceiving after and before, as before so after, as after so before. And how, monks, does a monk dwell as below so above, as above so below? Here, monks, a monk reviews this very body upwards from the soles of the feet, downwards from the tips of the hairs, enclosed in skin, as full of many kinds of impurities. There are in this body head hairs, body hairs, nails, teeth, skin, flesh, sinews, bone, marrow, kidney, heart, liver, pleura, spleen, lungs, intestine, mesentery, contents of the stomach, excrement, bowel, phlegm, pus, blood, sweat, fat, tear, grease, saliva, snot, fluid of the joints, urine. It is in this way, monks, that a monk dwells as below so above, as above so below. And how, monks, does a monk dwell as by day so at night, as at night so by day? Here, monks, at night a monk develops the basis for psychic power of concentration due to desire, accompanied by effort and volition. by way of the same qualities, the same features, the same aspects, as he develops that basis for psychic power by day. Or else by day he develops the basis for psychic power by way of the same qualities, the same features, the same aspects, as he develops that basis for psychic power at night. This in this way, monks, that a monk dwells as by day, so at night, as at night, so by day. And how, monks, does a monk with a mind that is open and unenveloped develop the mind imbued with luminosity? Here, monks, the perception of light is well grasped by a monk. The perception of day is well resolved upon. This in this way, monks, that a monk with a mind that is open and unenveloped develops the mind imbued with luminosity. So you see, these are the various descriptions on how to practice. Too slack is associated with lassitude. Too tense is associated with restlessness. Constricted internally is associated with sloth and torpor. Distracted externally is repeatedly disturbed on account of the 5 causes of sensual pleasure. After and below, the perception of after and below is well grasped by a monk. As below, so above, as above, so below. It considers the body, or the contents of the body. As by day, so at night, as at night, so by day. A monk practices in the same way, whether it's a daytime or nighttime. But nowadays, a lot of meditation teachers doesn't talk like this. It says you can sleep mindfully. And the Buddha's standard, he practices daytime and nighttime is the same. So the last part now, how does he develop the mind until it's luminous? He must have attained at least the 4 jhanas. And attains the 4 jhanas, the whole body becomes bright. Or any jhana above the 4th jhana. And then in the same way, analysis of energy as a basis. And what monks is energy that is too slack. It is energy that is accompanied by lassitude, associated with lassitude. This is called energy that is too slack. And what monks is energy that is too tense. This energy that is accompanied by restlessness. So in the same way, the description is just as the previous one. Similarly for mind, concentration due to mind, concentration due to investigation. When monks, the 4 bases for psychic power have been developed and cultivated in this way, they are of great fruit and benefit. When monks, the 4 bases for psychic power have been developed and cultivated in this way, a monk wields the various kinds of psychic powers. Having been one, he becomes many. Having been many, he becomes one, etc. He exercises mastery with the body as far as the Brahma world. When monk, the 4 bases for psychic power have been developed and cultivated in this way, a monk, by the destruction of the Asavas, in this very life, enters and dwells in the taintless liberation by mind, liberation by wisdom, realizing it for himself with direct knowledge. So that's the end of the sutta. So this telling us how to practice the 4 bases for psychic powers. Most of it we know already, except this interesting part I mentioned is that if you really want to cultivate it until you get the psychic powers, then your practice in the daytime should be the same as your practice at night. Then there's a hope of getting psychic powers. 51.22 Asavati. Then the Venerable Ananda approached the Blessed One, paid homage to him, sat down to one side and said, Venerable Sir, does the Blessed One recall ever having gone to the Brahma world by psychic power with a mind-made body? And the Buddha said, I recall, Ananda, having gone to the Brahma world by psychic power with a mind-made body. But Venerable Sir, does the Blessed One recall ever having gone to the Brahma world by psychic power with this body composed of the 4 great elements? And he said, I recall, Ananda, having gone to the Brahma world by psychic power with this body composed of the 4 great elements. That means with this flesh body. And Venerable Ananda said that the Blessed One is able to go to the Brahma world by psychic power with a mind-made body, and that he recalls having gone to the Brahma world by psychic power with this body composed of the four great elements, that is wonderful and amazing, Venerable Sir, on the part of the Blessed One. And the Buddha said, the Tathagatas Ananda are wonderful and possess wonderful qualities. The Tathagatas are amazing and possess amazing qualities. When Ananda, the Tathagata, immerses the body in the mind, and the mind in the body, and when he dwells having entered upon the blissful perception and the buoyant perception in regard to the body, on that occasion the body of the Tathagata becomes more buoyant, malleable, wieldy and luminous. Just as an iron ball, Ananda, heated all day, becomes more buoyant, malleable, wieldy and luminous, so too when the Tathagata immerses the body in the mind, and the mind in the body, and when he dwells having entered upon the blissful perception and the buoyant perception in regard to the body, on that occasion the body of the Tathagata becomes more buoyant, malleable, wieldy and luminous. When Ananda, the Tathagata, immerses the body in the mind, and the mind in the body, and when he dwells having entered upon the blissful perception and a buoyant perception in regard to the body, on that occasion the body of the Tathagata rises up without difficulty from the earth into the air. He wields the various kinds of psychic powers. Having been one, he becomes many. Having been many, becomes one, etc. He exercises mastery with the body as far as the Brahma world. Just as Ananda, a tuft of cotton wool or kapok, being light, sustained by the wind, rises up without difficulty from the earth into the air. So too, when the Tathagata immerses the body in the mind, and the mind in the body, and when he dwells having entered upon a blissful perception and a buoyant perception in regard to the body, on that occasion the body of the Tathagata rises up without difficulty from the earth into the air. He wields the various kinds of psychic powers. Having been one, he becomes many. Having been many, he becomes one, etc. He exercises mastery with the body as far as the Brahma world. It's the end of the sutta. So here, the Buddha is saying, actually with this flesh body, is able to go to the Brahma heavens.